Who Watches the Rewatchers, a Buffy rewatch podcast.
Well, we're finally getting here, friends. We're talking about episode 13 of season 2 from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. This episode's called Surprise, and it's where things really start to turn. It's something that Alan and I have been waiting for, and if you know our voices, you know that we are Who Watches the Rewatchers, a podcast rewatching Buffy the Vampire Slayer. How you doing, Alan?
I'm doing fantastic, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. I say that we've been waiting for it because over the past several episodes, I feel like you've intimated or discussed there's a turn coming in some of these characters. We've highlighted that there will be a change in the power dynamics between Drusilla and Spike.
Right.
And you also mentioned there'll be one coming with Angel and Buffy. I think we're about to be at the hill overlooking the valleys, right? Of some of those narratives.
Totally agreed. And, I'll mention this really quickly as like, because this is my shtick, right? You have your shtick on the show. My shtick on the show is talking story structure, visual storytelling, blah, blah, blah. And one of the things that I think is really interesting about the way that the Buffy seasons are constructed is that in screenplay nomenclature, in story nomenclature, there's usually there's structural beats. We meet our hero in the ordinary world. Something happens that causes, an inciting incident for the hero to go on, their journey of difference or whatever, blah, blah, blah. One of the structural pieces that falls in standard, storytelling is this idea of the midpoint reversal.
Oh.
And what I think is really fascinating about Buffy is that they construct the seasons like a narrative. So there's always that midpoint reversal. And today we're about to hit the one for the season. But in addition to that, they have all of that structural stuff happening per episode. And in a lot of ways, they have a lot of that structural stuff happening per scene. And that's actually one of the things that I think is really, really well done on Buffy is just, the writers are such masters of their craft that even though they had these amazing limitations in terms of budget for special effects and whatnot, they always made sure, well, more often than not, they made sure that story was on point. So, and I think that this is a great example of that.
Well, I was paying close attention to the very beginning, the introduction or the cold open, as it's often called, because you've reminded us many times over that that's where the metaphor is introduced.
Yep.
And what we have in the opening of this episode is a dream sequence. It sort of reminded me of dream sequences to come that were in The Sopranos, actually. If you ever watch The Sopranos, the David Chase, who created that show, did a lot of Freudian or maybe even Jungian things in the dreams. They were trippy.
Sure.
I mean, they were pretty trippy. And they tried to make them, I don't know the word, disorienting maybe. The word is disorienting, like real dreams are. Like Buffy is walking, she's like in her house, it's at night, she gets up, she's walking down a hall, she opens the door, and then she walks through the door, all of a sudden she's in the bronze.
Right.
So, you know how dream spaces and times sort of collapse and bleed from one to the other. And then she sees her mom in the bronze, and that stands out prominently because she's never been there.
That's right.
In the show. And she's also not holding a red Solo cup or even a cocktail glass. She's holding a teacup with a saucer. She drops the teacup saucer and turns around and walks away. She says something that doesn't make sense to Buffy, right? Like, these are the sorts of things that are happening in the dream. And I believe the climax of the dream is Buffy seeing a very robust and strong Drusilla who is holding maybe a stake, and Angel is her prisoner.
Yes.
And then she actually stakes him from behind. She kills him. And that's where she wakes up, right?
That is when she wakes up. That's when she wakes up.
What I want to ask you is, do you discern the metaphor and all that?
Well, okay, so so the metaphor for this particular episode is surprise. So we actually have three surprises visually in the opening. The first one is
Right.
Willow with a monkey. the,
Oh yeah.
the second. So when Buffy first walks into the bronze, she goes over to her normal table where Willow's sitting. Willow's sitting there with a monkey, and Willow's acting like this is totally normal, and Buffy doesn't react as though it's odd either, which in itself is surprising. Um, I have to admit though that when I went on rewatch last night when I saw that bit, I wondered if they were trying to say something about the nature of Oz, being a performing monkey on that guitar. But but I but I don't know that that's the
Interesting.
case at all. That's just having been a musician for a while, that's one of the phrases that I use to describe myself every once in a while. Um, and then you have the second surprise, which is Buffy's mom. And Buffy's not only is Buffy's mom there, but she drops the saucer and stuff. And so we have this unusual bit of loud, shocking noise. And again, no one's surprised around them. Um, and then we have the scene where Buffy sees Angel, um, and then Drusilla comes up behind him and stakes him, and that's surprising. And frankly, that's the first thing that finally drives Buffy to surprise. Until we got there, everything was sort of oddly calm for the number of surprises that we're seeing. So I think that's what's going on.
I I sense. I think that's right, but maybe I was looking too hard at it or something and looking deeply because I
Yep.
know the narrative and I know what's happening. I know that in this episode or the next, I didn't know at the beginning of the episode when, but I knew that Buffy and Angel would finally
Right. Right.
have sex, right? And I knew in the narrative that that is going to be the
Right.
downfall for Angel. And we've talked about before how the vampire metaphor is often having
Sure.
to do with the dangers of sex or something to that effect. Well, staking itself is sort of, I mean, it's stabbing with a wooden implement, but it's stabbing. And stabbing is also associated with sexual aggression. That's some of the theory behind serial killers and stabbing killers. I mean, I don't know.
Sure.
There's a better word for it than that,
Sure.
but that it is sexually motivated. And here it is Drusilla staking um, violently Angel in the back,
Right.
and it's his undoing. And I saw a lot of those kind of metaphors happening, or a lot of those themes throughout the episode about the dangers of that encounter and what it will mean for him. So I don't know if they
No,
intended that or if
I
it's
think you're
just
dead on, and I think there's also one more piece to it, which is that uh, no one around them is surprised.
Yeah, that's true. No one's surprised. In a similar way, all of her friends have kind of been like, "This is kind of crazy," to one degree or another.
I think that's what's going on. So
Okay.
after our title sequence, Buffy runs over to Angel's house to make sure he's okay. And I assume you have something to say
Yeah,
about
and
this.
well, it's now time for us to understand or explain. We'll never understand or explain where he's living, how he affords it, whatever. But yeah, he's shirtless, and she's getting ready for school, and he's getting ready for bed, and they have a moment. Yeah, I thought, maybe we should start at the introduction of this episode with like, if it is hammy, melodramatic teen romance and sexuality you want, this is the episode for you.
Yeah,
Like it's
sure.
all 90s oriented. It was just a little,
Yes,
to me, a little
agreed,
over the
agreed.
top, but there we
Okay,
there
okay,
we
I gotta
are.
I
I
gotta
mean,
say
it's what it
something that's
is.
too over the top for me. One of the few things I do not okay, one of the few things I don't like about Buffy in general, because there's a lot of things that I love about Buffy, as we have discussed for episodes and episodes now. One of the things I'm not a huge fan of in Buffy is the underscore.
Oh yeah, it's kind of in this
Yeah,
episode you can hear how
yeah, yeah.
cheap it is at
Especially in the
times.
romance scenes between Buffy and Angel. There's a Buffy and Angel romance theme, and it is way too schmaltzy for anything that I can get behind. You know.
I actually noticed it as well. In fact, I did notice the somber, melancholic
Yeah,
notes to it that they'll play later
sure.
as she's pining and sad over the things lost. But there are moments, I noticed it all throughout the episode. There are moments when they're fighting, and I'm like, this is sort of carnival comic, like silly. Um, and it almost takes away from the moments. I mean, yeah, you're right. It's probably the least amount of financial
Sure.
resources probably
Sure,
went into
sure.
that
Definitely least amount of
aspect of the
thought.
show.
But then again, I will also back up and say this, that Whedon himself fancies himself a musician composer. Have you seen his adaptation of Much Ado About Nothing?
Yes.
Um, so he and his brother did the score for that one.
Well, he also did Firefly's Serenity song.
Yeah. But he didn't actually like sit down and play all the instruments. He wrote the thing and then somebody else did the execution. You know what? I don't know. Maybe he did the same thing for the Much Ado About Nothing. I don't honestly know. I thought that he had actually executed it, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But anyway, I think sometimes that his musical taste, based on these things that we know that he wrote, definitely lean toward the schmaltzy. So I wonder if it's less a budget thing and more of a this is what he was really after kind of thing. You know?
Maybe. Well, we wake up, we finally get him out of his apartment or dungeon or lair, or we don't know where he lives. And now they're back at school, and everyone is talking about it's Buffy's 17th birthday party. She's had talks with her mom earlier in the episode. Does it feel different? For some reason, Joyce won't let her get her license yet. Everyone's planning the surprise birthday party. She deserves it. That's probably the most sweet moment, is that everybody has their feelings on the birthday party, and there's some concern, like, hey, there's bad stuff, bad juju going on. And Giles is like, this is the Hellmouth. There's always bad juju. This is her birthday. She deserves a good birthday.
Sure.
But in the setup, this is where the best part of the whole episode happens, in my opinion. The most fulfilling part of the episode takes place.
All right, tell me about it.
Well, Oz finally asks Willow out on a date.
Yes. That's a fantastic moment.
And how he does it,
Mm-hmm.
and how she responds it's just the coolest bit of the whole episode, really.
All right, we'll talk about it. Tell me.
Well, he goes, "Hey, I'm nervous. I'm gonna go. I'm in a minute. I'm gonna ask you out on a date." And she's like, "Yeah," and I'm gonna say yeah. And he's like, "Okay, good," because and I can't even remember the entire dialogue, but he tells her what he's going to do,
Yes.
and she tells him what she's going to say, and then he asks her, and then she goes, "No." And he's like, didn't go how I expected, right? And
yeah, right.
I thought she was being funny at first, but she's actually saying, no, I can't do it on that day because it's Buffy's birthday, but you should come. But
Right.
it is it's sweet, it's cute, it's cool. It's got the humor beats that you like from Oz.
Yes.
And Willow kind of coming into her own. Yeah, so I just really enjoyed that, man. It was nice.
It's a great moment, and I think it's the first time that I've noticed Willow wearing this hat that she's going to be wearing for about the next season or so.
The bucket cap.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a great interaction with Oz, and he is incredibly funny, especially when the surprise beat happens of her saying no after she told him she was going to say yes.
Well, the way Buffy works is, like a lot of narrative, visual narrative, is they are always balancing things, right? So we're getting ready for Buffy's 17th birthday party, the surprise party, and in the underworld side of things, or in the layers of the vampiric world, there is Drusilla, who is strong and different than she's ever been before, getting ready for some gala, some party. While Spike's in a wheelchair, he's regaining strength or whatnot. But now he's the weak one and she's the strong one. You've been talking about that role reversal that was going to come, and it's now here in full.
It's here.
We don't exactly know what this party is, but we know whatever gifts she's gotten, they smell and reek of death. She looks into a box. They don't reveal what it is. And Spike says, I hope you have a good party. She goes, it should be. It's going to be the last one, basically the last party that ever happens, right? So whatever they're planning for, it's Armageddon.
Right.
In their language.
I did some online research about this because I was like, what party is happening here for them? Because I didn't get that from the episode either. And I don't know that I know the answer to this. but according to what I saw online, a lot of people believe that Drew and Buffy share a birthday.
Okay.
I don't know that that's the case, but that's the online fodder. We'll see. Now, the other relationship that's going on here that I found to be really interesting is Xander actually asks Cordelia out. They've been making out for a few episodes now, but they've never gone on a date because, according to Cordelia, dating involves the guy spending money.
Yeah. And she's like, of course you want me to go. Because he's like, we shouldn't be embarrassed. She goes, well, like you wouldn't be embarrassed, but of course I would be embarrassed, right?
Right.
Of going. So she's throwing him under the bus or, insulting him. And it's probably his most valiant moment of trying to be kind, to her, not snarky.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens too. You're right.
So now we
But
cut
she's
back. Oh, go ahead.
she's
I'm
all
sorry.
in on. I would say she's all in on Buffy's birthday party.
Yes.
She's committed. Yeah.
She is. I mean, I think she's finally accepted the idea that she's a friend to these people. Then we cut to Buffy with her mom, and we have this great interaction that, of course, ends with the same moment we saw in the dream sequence.
Yeah, she drops her. This is when she's telling Buffy, I don't know if you're ready for your license and so on. And then she ends up dropping a plate.
Yep.
And it shatters, and it recalls all the emotions of the dream for Buffy in that moment.
Yep.
I did notice when the plate fell, the barcode was in view of camera. So it's like they didn't take the sticker off the back of the plate. I don't know if you noticed that. I just laughed a bit.
That's awesome. I didn't notice that, but that's great. The other interaction that we have right at this part of the episode is we finally get a smidgen of backstory about Jenny Calendar. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, we should talk about it. Let's first talk about, like, she's in her classroom. Okay, let's talk about the oddity of the moment.
Sure.
She's in her classroom doing. I get no one knows what teachers do when kids aren't there except for teachers. I think it's just a mystery.
Sure.
So whatever they're doing, she's doing it, and her back is turned to the class. Her face is toward whatever whiteboard, chalkboard it is,
Right.
and in behind her walks this. I will say his look is old world European look. The actor is named Vincent Schiavelli,
Right.
and he plays the character named Uncle Enyos. And Vincent Schiavelli, when I saw him, I can only think of the movie Ghost. If you remember Ghost with Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore, he was the ghost on the underground on the subway, and he just goes, no.
Right.
And I just have that. That's the image in my mind. I haven't seen Ghost in probably 30 plus years, but the no with his big mouth and and when I looked up Vincent Schiavelli, his Wikipedia, he died in his 50s. He died young, but he had Marfan syndrome.
Oh my gosh.
I have a friend who has Marfan syndrome, and it makes like her fingers longer. She's like taller than the rest of her family. So he's kind of a taller, gangly sort of personality. Like he just has an imposing look. He's wearing kind of, I don't know what you want to call it, but it definitely looks like an old world peasant hat.
Yes.
And he begins to talk to her in a very familiar way. So the first part is that it's odd that he's just wandering around the school, but we have odd types wandering around the school.
Yes.
In this show, but there he is. And you clearly get, this is an exposition dump. You're finding more out about Jenny Calendar.
That's right.
Uncle Enyos tells her, you're of the, there's a certain name of the people, but he says you're a gypsy. And basically it appears as though Jenny Calendar is, she has a different name. That's not her name. She is the...
Yeah, her name is Yana. Is that right?
I don't recall. But she's there sort of undercover even. She's there.
Mm-hmm.
It appears like the whole reason that she's taken this post is in some way to keep Angel in check.
Right.
And you remember that Angel was cursed by some gypsy clan because he slaughtered a whole people, that he would be cursed to carry his soul for all eternity and have inner turmoil where, what Uncle Enyo says is basically the people, the tribal elders or whatever, note that his happiness or his pain is lessening over time.
Right.
Presumably because of his love for Buffy. And so Uncle Enyos is like, what's going on? You're not doing the right thing here. You can't let him be happy. And Jenny Calendar is like, hey, on the ground, things are more complicated than you realize. I mean, that's my translation of what she says.
Yeah, sure. Totally agreed.
What else about that should we bring up or talk about that I'm kind of missing out on?
I think that she, you can feel her pushing back against her duties with this character who she's talking to, because basically what she's saying is, look, I know I'm here to manage Angel, and make sure that he never has a moment of happiness. But
Right.
he's making amends. He's fighting evil. He saved my life once. She's getting into all of that kind of stuff. And I think that from her perspective, she has a more nuanced feeling about the whole thing. She understands that it was the demon inside of Angel that did this, not Angel himself. And she tries to communicate that without actually saying it that way. And I have to wonder if she had communicated it precisely that way, if this elder might have backed off at all. I don't know.
Yeah, I like how you said that she is fighting her duties, because that's an already established theme with Buffy and Giles and Kendra and others, and so I think that that's definitely a play here. And I would say, from a philosophical perspective and a sociological perspective, Buffy definitely fits into what Charles Taylor calls the age of authenticity, where we're trying to one of the highest ideals of our era is to truly be yourself, to be authentic, to discover who you are, to you do you.
Mm,
And we do that by shirking traditions, past hierarchies and power structures.
interesting. I
Um,
like that.
and that is, well, I don't like it, but it's a nuance thing.
Well,
I mean,
I like the idea, because I'm thinking through all the things that I see my students do, and things I'm seeing my daughter do, and things that I know that I did, and thinking through what all that means. That's what's going through
so
my head.
so it's interesting because Charles Taylor is this Canadian philosopher,
Yeah,
and he wrote this book called A Secular Age, which is, I don't know, 1,000+ pages, right?
sure.
And it's an analysis of the world becoming more secular. Now,
Mm,
I'm sorry for our Buffyverse friends. This is an aside, but Buffy definitely plays part, or has its um, the reason for its being is because of this movement I'm about to talk about.
oh, tell me
But
about it.
well, I mean, everything that we do has its being because of this movement.
Okay.
Um, 100 or so years ago, or more, a sociologist following Max Weber, we're talking about
Hmm.
the secular age, or the theory of secularity, in that, like, the more we learned, the more we were going to remove enchantment, magic, gods,
Sure.
all that superstition. We were like, it's like a wallpaper where that was a peeling layer. And what we were doing through rationality, science, and the Enlightenment is peeling back all the veneer of fakeness. And what we were going to come up with is an age of secularity. If they were right, by now we should be fully a secularized people. But what's really sociologists of religion, theologians, philosophers have noted is we're not really secular at all. It's the secular age that we're in is really one where having that atheistic secular point of view is just one idea amongst many. And that right now what you have is more of a values smorgasbord, or a belief system smorgasbord. There's just a lot of options. And so ultimately we're in an age now of authenticity, where people are less likely to be just traditional religious observers, where you follow the faith of your parents and your ancestors. You go to the religious community or observance, you know, uh, solely, or whatever. It's now the case where people are trying to find themselves, and that's the thing that drives them more than anything else. And that self is defined not by tradition, community, religion in the past, but it's from yourself, from
Sure.
your inner desire.
Sure.
And so now, like, in our religious milieu, you might have someone who maybe streams a megachurch pastor on Sundays, but they don't go, and they may not even give to that church financially, but they may give to Habitat for Humanity, and then they may spend the Sunday morning service time that they would be at brunch with friends, and then followed by hot yoga. Or you might curate your life through CrossFit, TED Talks, and whatever community you want to be a part of. So we join less organizations like churches and Kiwanis Club and all that, and we pick and choose and sort of curate our lives of value differently, and that guiding principle is the age of authenticity, and it really started in a big way in the 60s through the youth culture when we began to advertise and market to the youth. So this has been an age that's been our old society of voluntary association where we'll join stuff has been in decline since the 60s, and on the rise has been this authenticity movement, which I don't think. I mean, I think it's I think at best authenticity should be an antidote to just it should soften duty that is unhealthy. And here's a quick example from film. Whenever I show people in my generation and younger the film Casablanca, people who've never seen this film, mind you, they have this romantic story in their mind. We watch it, and almost universally at the end, they're disappointed because Bogart's character does not end up with Ingrid Bergman's character.
Right.
Instead of ending up romantically, they choose duty to country and to fidelity of marriage.
Right.
Ingrid Bergman goes off with Victor Laszlo to go continue fighting the war effort. Bogart does it in his own way with Renault. And he says at the very end, and his love flies away. He says, Louis, this is going to be the beginning of a beautiful friendship. Well, people often just want them to be happy. That is the height of happiness, is somehow fulfilling your desire.
Right.
But what they chose was duty and honor bound.
Yeah.
Which is my great criticism of this narrative that we're talking about now is, according to Uncle Enos, Angel can't have 1 minute of happiness. And ultimately, how has he not been happy? He's spending time in a community, laughing and doing something good. That's about no real happiness. Only real happiness can come through intercourse. Like, that's what this is going to be saying without saying it.
Right.
And so, and it's, of course, they would say that's being reductive, but so it's through the consummation of romantic love, as if that's the only way to be happy.
Sure.
Well, for teen feelings, it is. For a lot of our emotional feelings, it is. Anyway, so that's what that's all about. So Calendar represents to me that newer generation seeking to be yourself, and fighting the strong cold of tradition, culture, and values from the past.
I think that is fantastic. That is an incredible observation, man.
Well, thanks. Not mine, just talking about things that I've read together. But yeah, so and did you believe this? Let me ask that question. Did it seem like they just said, oh, here's an interesting story we can add to Jenny Calendar's portfolio to add some drama?
Yeah. So the question is, did they have this in mind, and were we working towards it, or was this something to give her something to do? I think that they probably, this is what I really think. I think that they probably had it in mind all along that they were going to do this with Angel. I think that this was the game plan with Angel from day one, in all honesty, because frankly, I'm going to be completely crass for a moment here, Jarrod. Up until now, like just the last couple of episodes, he seemed like a boy toy to me. Like he's almost personalityless. He is there for the eye candy for the ladies. But now we're finally getting to Angel's story. Well, we need a way for him to change. We need a way for this midpoint reversal to take place. And I think that they probably always had it in mind that this gypsy curse was going to be lifted and he was going to go evil. I think that was probably a game plan. But how they were going to do it and which characters would be involved, I think that this was probably as much of a surprise to the people in the writers' room, that this was a path forward for that as it could be. I don't think that they had this in mind for Jenny. I think they had this in mind for Angel, and then they sort of married those two storylines for the sake of convenience and not having to introduce yet another character.
Okay. Yeah, I should say before we go to the birthday party and anything else, Enos does tell Jenny that she's supposed to get Angel away from Buffy. That's the marching order, because that'll bring happiness. And so that sets up Buffy this weird kind of it's a kind of a weird I don't know, relationally weird beats here happening where Buffy's looking for Giles, Giles isn't there, Angel's like, or Jay's like, oh, I'll drive you, and they
Sure.
get into her car and she's really driving her to her surprise party. Buffy doesn't know where they're going. The surprise party is at the Bronze, and coming up down that alley in the car, Buffy goes, something's going on, and there is in fact some vampiric activity, and Buffy gets out. Jenny's like, don't get out. I don't, it all felt a little different and strange, kind of almost just, I don't know, like filler put in there. But when Buffy does get out, we do recognize one of the vampires that's doing some nefarious deed.
Yes.
It is the scholarly vampire that was reading the texts and trying to decipher them from a past episode. And so we've got the bookworm vampire that is one of the toadies of Spike and Drusilla doing work for Spike and Drusilla, trying to carry out a box, right? It's a box of something.
That's right.
And Buffy does battle. And this is a funny bit, because if she's doing battle outside, inside everyone's getting ready for the party and they're hiding. And they're like, she's coming, we can hear her.
Yeah, right.
And she's actually out there fighting. And people are standing up like, no, get back down. She's going to come in. And she's out there still fighting until she gets tossed through a plate glass window.
Yes.
And that's how she busts in her own party, and she ends up staking a vampire. And then everyone's just standing there, staring, their mouths open, including Oz, who's never seen a vampire or a dusting, and he watches it. And then Cordelia stands up and goes, surprise!
That's right.
None the wiser.
Sure.
Well, you remember the dialogue at that point?
No, I don't. What did they say at that point?
Well, I mean, I don't remember the dialogue perfectly, but Xander's trying to tell Cordelia, Cordelia, we saw Buffy, there's a vamp, and Oz has just seen a dusting. He's never seen one before or known about them or something like that.
That's right.
And Oz is like, and Oz pulls a line straight out of Lost Boys, circa 1980, probably 6 or 7. He's like, it explains so much.
That's right.
About what's wrong with Sunnydale, and he thought it was kind of cool. He was unfazed.
He was completely unfazed, and I think that that's a Nas thing throughout it. Like he no matter what happens, he remains unfazed. So yeah, then they open the box, and we see that it's this limb.
Yeah, it's an arm. I thought this was cool because the arm actually reaches up and starts choking Buffy.
Yeah.
And I thought that how they shot that was they had someone under the box, under a table with their arm up in there.
Sure.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But it really reminded me of a little of the Evil Dead movies and Army of Darkness. It's kind of like limb because Ash's arm becomes possessed in part of it and starts choking him. Well, this arm just kind of reaches up in a very sort of similar look and starts choking Buffy. Yeah,
totally. And then we get a little exposition dump where we find out about what the arm is. It's a piece of this character called the Judge. And Angel and Giles are both freaked out that we found a piece of the Judge. Apparently this is what the scholarly vamp was looking for. Now, okay, before I get into all of that, let me say this. This is the one piece of it related to Jenny that I think every once in a while the writers have like really grand ideas about how they're going to like tie things together, and they don't quite play it in the actual piece. So Jenny's marching orders are to separate Angel and Buffy, but she didn't have anything to do with the acquisition of the Judge by the scholarly vamp. She's just playing on the fact that someone needs to go deal with the fact that people are assembling the Judge. And then Angel kind of takes it on himself to say that he needs to go to all these places in the world where parts of the Judge will be located and make sure that it's safe. And that's going to separate he and Buffy. And so now
he actually needs to put it to the furthest reaches of the world because Spike and Drusilla have been getting the pieces.
Right.
Apparently, this is such a vampire or a creature of such terrible,
right,
ability that you have to put him to the four corners of the world.
No weapon formed against him can.
Yes.
What's the phrase?
Well, shall prosper is the scriptures. But, but she's like, Angel, you got to do it. And he's like, yeah, you're right. She's like, quick, I'll drive you to the dock. And, his whole point is, she's like, well, Buffy's like, well, you could fly. It's easier. And he's like, well, no, I can't guarantee not being in sunlight. Yeah, it is a lot of exposition to try to say only Angel is equipped to do this with strength. And I guess his strength makes him able to do this. So this is the one missing piece for the judge. Everything else is already back at the birthday party for Drusilla. Yeah, I felt the same thing. It's sort of like Jenny is uncharacteristically assertive in that moment.
Right.
Which makes sense given her new marching orders. But yeah, that's exactly. I felt the same way you do about it. That it seemed like a little add-on or something like that.
So so then we get a quick scene with Drusilla and Spike and the guy we're calling the academic vampire. And that actually ended really oddly. Like I think the Landau, the girl who plays Drew, I think that every once in a while she gets remarkably playful with that role.
Yeah. She chews up scenery for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And then we cut to Buffy taking Angel to the dock where he's going to get on the ship, and this is going to be the last time she sees him for months, or so she thinks.
Yeah, and he gives her the Claddagh ring, which is very, very Irish, at least since the 17th, 18th century. I looked into it a little bit, but it is right. There's the crown is for faithfulness. There's a sword for fidelity, and then like a heart for love. And depending on how you turn the ring to you're taken out, you're available, or just and apparently there are quite a few celebrities who have such a ring. This is like a thing that some people still do in very Irish culture. It comes from Galway, County Galway, and so he's giving her this present, and it's sort of reminded me. And when I saw it as a teenager, I did not know about this tradition, so I saw it as sort of a cheesy promise ring.
Right.
But but it's a sweet gift,
It is, but I do think that I do wonder sometimes when I see stuff like this in a show if it isn't like a marketing ploy. Like, did they suddenly start selling Claddagh rings as a result of this particular episode or whatever? Was there some stock in James Avery at the time? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. So you're a little cynical about it, huh?
I do know that was true on some of the Star Trek stuff. Like every once in a while on Star Trek, there will be like a piece of jewelry or decoration or something that they mention purposefully in the episode, and it's specifically because they were trying to sell copies of it, after the fact. So I don't know if that's going on here, and I don't know how one would like corner the market on Claddagh rings anyway, because they're so common in all the various ways that you could acquire one.
I don't either, but you're the conspiracy theorist here on this one.
Yeah. So I don't know. Well, so anyway, they exchange the ring. They have this sweet moment, and then they get attacked.
Right. And just like that, the limb that they've been, worried about is just taken away. I mean, it was pretty easy. So now that this judge character will be intact. And they go back with the arm, and they put them together. And I don't know if you noticed this. I'm sure you did. The person who plays the character is the actor Brian Thompson.
Yes.
Who has already played a vampire in Buffy and already been dusted. You remember?
He was Luke.
Yes, for the Master. He's that
in the first season.
He's that consummate 1990s villain.
That's right.
That's in so many things, and because of his facial structure and his physicality, often played a bad guy in action roles. And so it's interesting that they brought him back, which is kind of cool. I mean,
it is. I mean, I like the fact that okay, so I have one thing to say about this, which is I've heard a number of interviews with Whedon where he talks about his quote hat tricks. And what he means by a hat trick is when he reuses an actor.
Mm-hmm.
And this is definitely one of them. He's really, really happy to tell you about actors that he's able to use in multiple series playing multiple roles. He thinks that's he thinks that there's a lot of fun to that. Um, but so anyway, Angel.
I'm sure they appreciate the paycheck.
Oh yeah, sure. And I gotta also say, I think that there's um it's nice to know when you're working with someone in power that they are trying to look out for you. You know, for people who are in like gig economy kind of stuff, like actors and musicians. That's always sort of reassuring that that there's somebody who's trying to
Yeah.
look out for you, help you get work, whatever. I think that's fantastic. Um,
Yeah.
so Buffy and Angel end up going to the warehouse where Spike and Drusilla have assembled the judge, and
Oh yeah.
oh, good.
Okay, I'm gonna throw some shade here. Like that.
Oh, go.
Their plan is dumb. Everything that happens from here is absolutely dumb. It doesn't follow any logic whatsoever. So like, well, who must have it? It must be Spike and Drusilla. Let's go to the place where they're going to be. Like, they don't tell anybody. They just show up. They walk in the door. They don't sneak in. They just walk in, and they're standing there looking at everything like, oh, this looks bad. As the judge is like assembled and doing his bit to kill other things around. And it's like it's got to get strong before it can become invincible, and so it kills the dorky, goofy, intellectual, scholarly vampire. Drusilla loves that just because it's death, it's indiscriminate killing, but they're watching, it's like, oh, we better leave. Well, there are other vampires all around, like they circle up on them, and now it's going to be it was just dumb. Sorry.
No,
Dumb.
I agree. I mean, I think that they had to. I think what they were trying to do was make you feel as though um, the situation was hopeless in terms of Buffy and Angel being able to do anything about it in that moment, and that they needed to run away.
Yeah.
And I think that from a blocking, direction, visual storytelling capacity, this beat falls flat. Like whoever directed this particular scene is the person that we should be throwing shade at here. I think that from a writing perspective, it makes sense. From a visual storytelling perspective, all the stuff that you've just described doesn't make any sense. I mean, I think that this idea that Buffy and Angel would you know be looking to sort of the normal places they know that the bad guys hang out makes sense. Like, but we never had a scene that said that that's what they were going to do. I think that the idea that they would be hiding in the rafters to try to figure out what's going on in the warehouse makes sense. But we didn't have a scene that expressed that they like snuck in, and they certainly didn't look like they were hiding in the rafters. To your point, they look like they're at an opera or something. They're they're fully visible, like watching the stage play that's happening beneath them.
I thought it looked like they were showing up to the party, to Drusilla's party. Like, did they bring the chips and dip? I mean,
Yeah, right. Sure.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a lot of there's a lot to be frustrated about there. I totally agree with you. And then there's even more to be frustrated after that. Like, if that's all that happened, why are Buffy and Angel running through the rain and having to hide at Angel's house? I mean, like, none of that stuff makes any sense, but it was definitely what they felt like they needed to do in order to get to our culminating scene, which is where
you're saying it. So like that's like they get out, the skin of their teeth. It's raining and it's so cold. And they go to Angel's because it's nearby. I mean, they could just keep going to the library. They could just go get Giles, but they go to his place, and it's cold, and and this is where it just got so melodramatic, where he's like, "Oh, you're cold. Here, put this on and get under my covers to warm yourself." And he's like, "Oh, I'll turn around." And he stands real close to her too. It's like you're very obviously unable to limit your desire or to be control of your desire. I mean, it's just it's just that's the part that I roll my eyes at. Like you just set it up to fail. You set yourself up for it. Like
Yeah,
if
sure.
that's what is if this is, and I guess you got it the early part of the episode. Buffy telling Willow it's basically soon to be time for her to actually have sex with. They don't say those words, but Willow's response is wow. And wow, like
Right.
this is a big moment. So maybe they just, it's one of those things they both knew was going to happen and, just kind of let it happen. But it was really, oh man, it was just like, he's not a 200-year-old wise vampire. He's a 17-year-old horny guy.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with you. And I also, as I watched this, I remembered that, Saturday Night Live skit that I told you about recently, where, it's a spoof on Twilight or whatever, and the girl's like, how old are you? And he's like 17. And she's like, yeah, but how long have you been 17?
40 years.
40 years. And I think that's hilarious. I think that is a little bit of what we're sensing here. Yeah, Angel's 19.
Right.
And he's been 19 for 200 years. He's not 219. He hasn't grown and matured in this entire time. And but I think that's what's necessary for it to be to land in that teen drama WB milieu. This particular episode is more like Dawson's Creek than any of the previous. For all of those reasons. Although you probably know more about that than me, because I never really watched Dawson's Creek.
Yeah, I did and then I didn't, but yeah, it's anyway. Well, so they get into bed and she falls asleep, and that's really set up through the whole show too, because of her poor sleep, she from her bad dreams, she falls asleep during a study session, and she's kind of like her head's on a pile of books, and they're all in the library, and Giles kind of lovingly, like a father, points out, oh, she must need her rest, and Angel says in front of everybody, she hasn't been sleeping, she's been tossing and turning all night, and they all look at him as if to say, how do you know that? And he goes, she told me from her dreams, and so anyway, so she's tired, so she can't help it, she passes out asleep next to him, and in the middle of the night he wakes up almost as if he's having like a heart attack, and he runs out into the rain and he's yelling for Buffy, and she's just passed out asleep. And that's that. We end there with a to be continued. It's another multi-part episode. There's been several here in this season.
And I will add one piece to this, which is that from a visual storytelling perspective, water is a metaphor for change, which is why he has to experience all this out in the rain instead of just waking up and, getting his
yeah, I mean, it's often
Right.
a baptismal metaphor,
Right.
or a cleansing metaphor, which is baptism has that element with it. But this would
Right.
be the reverse of that, because is he about to enter into
Right.
the dark realm
Right.
again.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Well, here we are, man. You're getting to the stuff that I know that you were looking forward
Yes.
to him turning, because it gives his
Yeah.
character more. And here it's coming.
I'm looking this up real fast because one of my favorite single episodes related to this. I'm trying to look up the name of it, so I'm telling you right. Good grief, my computer is not cooperating with me. I Only Have Eyes for You is coming up in a few episodes, and that's one of my favorite single episodes. And Angel has to turn before this episode makes any sense. So looking forward to that. But what we have coming up right away is our next episode in this 2-part sequence is called Innocence, and where we for the first time really experience Angelus, or Evil Angel, and then after that we get our first our first real werewolf episode. So I'm looking forward to both of those.
Awesome. Well, we will gather back, circle up, and find out what happens next. All right, everybody. Have a great day.